We are going to start another chapter, and that is a poem, and it's a very beautiful poem by. It is named as "Beautiful Hands," and it is about the poetess says about her mother and how she has struggled throughout her life for the happiness of her own child. So basically, this poem was written by Ellen Maria Huntington Gates, and she was a very good writer. And she lived from 1835 until 1920, and she produced some of the greatest, some of very great poetic and literary works. And she is considered as one of the very efficient writer of the 19th century, and she's a 19th century writer, and she has produced a lot of good work, literary works and poems. So she has written this very beautiful poem about beautiful hands of mother. So we will go through all the stanzas, and I'll explain to you. Now, there are two stanzas in this poem, and I'll explain, give a summary, I'll tell you the difficult meanings, and so we will paraphrase it, we will do the explanation of it. So let's just get started. So now we are going to start this poem. So first of all, here you can see some of the pictures, and it says that predict the theme of poem by looking at the picture. So as you can see, the line is with his own child, with her own child, and there's a crab, there's koala, and there are penguins, and all of them are with their own child. So it's basically a poem about a mother and a child, and how she takes care of her own child. So first of all, I'll read the whole poem, and then we will go stanza by stanza and line by line. So first, I'll read the poem. Such beautiful, beautiful hands. They are neither white nor small. And you, I know, would scarcely think that they were fair at all. I have looked on hands whose form and hue a sculptor's dream might be. Yet are these ages wrinkled hands most beautiful to me. Such beautiful, beautiful hands. Though heart were weary and sad, these patient hands kept toiling on that the children might be glad. I almost weep when looking back to childhood's distant day. I think how these hands rested not when mine were at their play. So it's a very beautiful poem, and how beautifully and eloquently this writer has summarized this poem, and has told a lot about the mother and their struggle for their children. So I have read the poem, and now we will go through some difficult words, and I'll tell the meaning in their meaning in the English and in Pashto as well. So now we will go through it. So we will go through some of the difficult words. So the first one is scarcely. It means something in very less quantity, almost not present. The scarcely मतलब दावी चला का यू शे चदा अगा वाला चीज ना होने के बराबर चला का बिल्कुल कम मिकदार की हुई है शे या दे तरीके से scarcely मतलब दावी. So the next word is hue. Hue means color, the degree of color there, and its properties like darkness, how dark it is, how light it is, how intense it is. So it is basically about colors. Hue شده كان يور رنگ دي رنگ ورو غنشي لك يوشي ولا خستوالة سنجدة. या يوشي ولا color څنګه رنگ څنګه نو hues چې دا کنه یو color دی پاره یو بل word ده. Another word is sculptor. So sculptor is someone who can make objects out of clay or stone or sand, you know, and that model represents an idea about a person, about a thing, about a place. So sculptor can is that kind of a person. Sculptor چې ده کنه داسې کس دی چې کوم د خاټو نه شی نه جوړوي یا چې ده کنه لکه سټیچوز جوړوي هغه جوړوي نو دې طریقې سره لکه چا انسان بریکینګ کیدای شي څوک انسان والا شکل هغه کوی شي یو شي بریکې کوی شي یو زی بریکې کوی شي نو هغه ته سکلپټر یي. Wrinkled having small lines on the skin that comes with age, that is a characteristic feature of old age. Wrinkles چې ده کنه جوري ہوتی چې انسان کله بوډا کیږي نو هغه والا مخ منی لاسونو منی سکین یې بالکل داسې لاینز جوړ شي نو هغه ته wrinkle دي. Weary مطلب it means that someone is sad and someone is stressed. Weary مطلب دا وی چې انسان خپاوي یا چې د کنه ډیر ستړی شي نو هغې ته چې د کنه weary. Toiling means to work so much hard, you know, to work hard on something. Toiling مطلب دا وی چې یو شي لپاره ډیر سخت مهنت کول. And distant means far away. Distant means something that is far away. Distant مطلب دا وی چې یو شی لري چې یو شي ته بری کې خبره کوي یا یو لري شي ته انډیکیشن ورکوي نو هغه ته distant دی. So now we will do the stanza. First stanza, we will cover the first stanza and its explanation and what is being told in this stanza. So it is such beautiful hands. They are neither wide nor small, and you, I know, would scarcely think that they were fair at all. I have looked on hands whose form and hue a sculptor's dream might be, yet are these ages wrinkled hands most beautiful to me. So this poem is written by Ellen Gates, and here the poetess talks about her mother's hands and the beauty they possess. She describes the physical and spiritual progress that the hands undergo throughout the course of life, and so she depicts her mother's growth, you know, by using the symbol of her hands. دا پویم چې ده کنه ایلن ګیټس لیکلی ده او د پویم کې چې ده کنه خپل مور والا لاسونو باره کې خبره کوي مور والا چې د لاسونو والا خیستوالي باره کې خبره کوي چې اوس چې پوره عمر تیره شو نو اوس هم چې ده کنه ما دپاره څنګه اخیسته هغې والا لاسونه دي چې د هغه والا فزیکل گروث لکه فزیکل اپیرنس چې ده کنه لاسونو والا هغې باره کې او spiritual growth یو وی چې spiritual او physical growth different وي. physical مطلب وی جسمانی صحیح شو او spiritual مطلب وی روحانی نو دواړو والا progress والا خبره کوي چې هغې والا مور والا لاسونه physically او spiritually چې ده کنه progress کوي. So now let's just talk about the first stanza. And so the first stanza, you know, talks about the physical, superficial appearance of poetess mother's hands. So she says that her mother's hands were neither small and nor fair, nor did they fulfill any criterion of femininity or beauty that is set by society. So basically, here she is talking about that my mother hands might not be beautiful to the society, nor they're just small, not they neither they're fair nor small. They're big, rough hands basically, and and they would not be attractive for others. So, and she's also saying that she is not fulfilling any criterion of femininity, that they are not, they do not seem like hands of a woman. And most importantly, she's saying that her hands would not attract any attention from others for being the way they are. You know, that is the point that she says that her mother hands are not beautiful for others. People would not be attracted by the hands of her mother. Although she said that according to her, her mother hands, their color, now we are talking about the form and hue, that their color and shape were as beautiful as the sculptor's dream and were as perfect. Now she's linking the shape and color of her mother hands, that it would be a dream of sculptor to work on it, to make those hands, out of clay or stone. And so she is saying that this could also imply the way mothers shape or sculpt their children and their family without expecting anything in return, by putting their family themselves before themselves. So here, as we see that you know a mother is a sculptor of the family. She shapes her family. And here the word sculptor is not just the person itself, but here the sculptor is here the sculptor means that the mother is the sculptor of the family. She shapes the family as she wants. She fulfill their needs, and she thinks about them. She cares for them. She would not care for herself, but she would care for her family, for her children. And she would not expect anything in return. She would not say that do this for me and do that for me. So now here she is putting her family before herself. And also she emphasizes that the spiritual beauty possessed by them. She says that no matter how wrinkled and furrowed her mother's hand become, they would always be the most beautiful to her. Here in these two lines, last two lines of the first stanza, the poetess says that no matter how many wrinkles had grown on her hands, on it are still beautiful. They are still beautiful, most beautiful thing to me. And so she is referring to the spiritual beauty of her mother, the hands of her mother. So it says in this sense, it says a lot about the mother's physical and spiritual beauty. پهله stanza کې چې ده کنه چې کوم poetess ده، هغه چې د خپل مور ولا لاسونو باره کې خبره کوي، هغې ولا چې ده کنه جسماني چې کوم ښایستوالی ده هغې باره کې خبره کوي. هغې چې ما مور لاسونه چې ده کنه نه سپین دي نه وړه دي، نه چې ده کنه هغه مطلب لکه غټ لاسونه یې دي، رف لاسونه یې دي کنه، لکه نورو خلکو دپاره ښایسته نه دي. سوسایټي چې یا معاشره چې نور خلکو دپاره دا چې ده کنه یو ښایستوالي نشان نه ده. نو هغه دې باره کې خبرې کوي چې نه سپین دي، صحیح شو، اور نه هغې ولا چې لکه ښایستوالي خبره کوي که نه، یو جسماني ښایستوالي خبره کوي چې هغې ولا لاسونه چې ده نه دي ښایسته، خو ما دپاره ډېر ښایسته دي، لکه نورو خلکو دپاره نه دي ښایسته خو ما دپاره ډېر ښایسته دي. هغې چې ما مور ولا لاسونه ولا چې کوم لکه شیپ ده، کلر ده، عام کیدای شي نورو دپاره خو نه دي ښایسته، خو پویټس داسې دا خبره کوي چې ما ولا مور لاسونه داسې دي چې اب یو سکلپټر ولا یو خواب وي چې زه داسې شي باندې کار وکړم، لکه دې نه اندازه کېږي چې خپل مور ولا لاسونه چې ده که نه څه ګڼي. لکه هغې دپاره هغې اخیستوالی څومره ضروري دی. نو داسې سکلپټر چې دی که نه ولا خبره داسې خود شوې ده چې آیې چې لکه یو مور چې ده که نه خپل فیملی خپل بچي هغو له خیال ساتي آی یو طریقې سره ستري اور خپل ځان بارے کې خیال نه کوي خو خپل فیملی دپاره ډېر زیات خیال کوي. او اخري کې چې دا پویټ یې چې ماته د شي نه فرق نه پرېوځي چې هغې ولا لاسونه چې ده که نه څومره زاړه شولو یا ښایسته نه دي خو اوس هم چې ده که نه ما دپاره ټول نه معنی دا لري چې اوس هم ما دپاره ډېر زیات ښایسته دي. So now we will do the second stanza. Such beautiful, beautiful hands, though heart were weary and sad. These patient hands kept toiling on, that the children might be glad. I almost weep when looking back to childhood's distant day. I think how these hands rested not when mine were at their play. So here the writer narrates about her mother's hands. She continues to narrate about her mother's hands. So if we see in this poem, there is a sense of nostalgia and respect for her mother. You know, she reminisces about her mother when she was little. She thinks about those times when her mother toiled and she worked hard day and night so that her family could be happy and carefree. And when she thinks about those times when the children went to play while her mother kept working hard and when she never rested, that it still makes her teary-eyed. You know, the poet says, when I think about those times when she was continuously keep working for us and she would never rest even for a while, and she would take care of us and she would do everything for us, and now when she thinks about all those things, it makes her sad, it makes her teary-eyed. Her mother's memories make her nostalgic. You know, she thinks nostalgic means something that she referred to the past memories and pushes her to think about all that she has sacrificed for her family and brings about a deep sense of appreciation and love for her beloved mother. So now here she is thinking about all the sacrifices and struggles that her mother had done for her family. Her family, and she is now appreciating that how much struggles she had done, and she is writing in love, and she is having a deep sense of appreciation and love for her mother in all these lines. And as we see that this poem progresses, there is a sense of sorrow as the writer brings into picture her aging mother. You know, she's thinking about that now she's getting old, her mother is getting old. So she expresses her sadness as she realizes that her mother's hands are growing weak day by day, you know, and that soon there will come a day when she won't move, when those hands would not move, you know, so they'll rest forever. And through this poem, it is seen that the writer courses through her mother's life. Now she is telling how her mother life is progressing towards old age. And she deliberately talks about different stages of her mother's life with a special focus on her hands. The mother's life is symbolized through her hands. So as we can see in this, so she is talking and she is using the symbol of her mother's hand to describe her life, her mother's life, and how her life is progressing towards old age. The second stanza کې چې ده که نه په رایټر چې د پویټ چې د خپل مور ولا اخیستوالي لاسونو ولا اخیستوالي ولا خبره کوي، خو د سیکنډ stanza کې هغه موسټلی یو طریقې سره عزت سره خبره کوي مور دپاره، لکه یو هغه چې ده داسې ډېر اپریشیټ کوي، ډېره مینې سره چې دا خپله مور یادوي. یهی چې لکه مو به چې کله وړه وو، لکه او چې زه اوس هغه ټایم بری کې سوچ کم چې مو کله وړه وو او مو والا مور چې د مو ته به هر یو شی کولو مسلسل به کار کولو که ستړي مو ما بیا به مو دپاره کار کولو نو چې مو آرام سره وو مو خوشحال وو خپل فیملی دپاره هغې به ځان بری کې سوچ نه کولو ای چې کله به مو وړه وو مو به لیوې کولې هغې به مو کار کولو هغې به مو دپاره هر څه کولو نو چې زه چې اوس هغه ټایم بری کې سوچ کم نو زه چې دا ډېر خفه شم صحیح شو چې زه سوچ کم چې مو له مور پوره عمر مو دپاره داسې تیر کړلو اور هغې مو دپاره کوم قسم چې دا کنه کوششونه وکړو کوم قسم ته سټرګلز یې وکړو مو دپاره نو چې دا کنه هغې د وجې نه ډېره خفه کېږي چې لکه مو مور خو پوره زندګي مو دپاره تېره کړله او دا لاسونه خو هغې به له کله نه دي وي لاړ همیشه به دا لاسونه په کار مني څه نه څه کار به یې کولو نو هغه چې ده کنه دې شي سره ډېر خفګان کې لاړه شي چې لکه او چې دا خپل مور والا لاسونه چې ده کنه سمبلایز کوي لکه هغې والا لاسونو تھرو باندې یې والا لایف سمبلایز کوي نو دې طریقې سره دواړو سټینزا کې چې دغه خبره شوې ده چې څنګه مو والا مور والا دا اوس سپیریچوال بیوټي ده دا چې اوس د سیکنډ فرست سټینزا کې فزیکل بیوټي خبره شوې او سیکنډ سټینزا کې چې دا سپیریچوال بیوټي والا خبره شوې روحاني خوبصورتي والا So now, in order to conclude this whole poem, I'll tell you some, I'll summarize this poem for you. That this poem brings, about, there are different themes in this poem, basically. There is nostalgia, there is respect, there is sorrow. And it delicately brings out the sense of affection and sacrifice associated with mothers, and all the ways in which they give their all for the well being of their family and disregarding themselves. This poem progresses through the course of narrator's mother's life, through the picture of her mother's aging hands, and it talks about the pivotal role the mother's hands played in ensuring the well being of her family. So basically, this was the theme of this poem, and how these old age hands are still beautiful for everyone. Everyone loves their mother, and when we grow old with our mothers, when we see our mothers growing old, that's when we really appreciate that how much they have struggled through their lives and to make us happy, to make us carefree. And that's how we can appreciate, that's how we can take more care of them. In their old age, that is the time when they need us and we should be taking care of them. So that's how we can never pay back our mothers, but what we can do is to take care of them, and that's the message of this poem, basically. نو که د پویم بله تاسو یو خلاصه غوندې وګورئ نو د پویم کې اصل کې دا خبره کیږي چې د کې لکه درې مین تیمز وکنه یو نوسټالجیا چې انسان کله خپل پاست بری کې سوچ کوي او هغه لغوندې خپل پاست یادوي هغې بری کې چې دا کنه لکه هغه والا میمریز چې ریوایو شي هغه ته نوسټالجیا یو پکې نوسټالجیا والا تیم ده یو پکې ریسپیکټ والا عزت والا او یو پکې سورو خفګان والا دا درې تیمز چې د کنه د پویم کې دي او دې سره چې دا کنه دا خود د مین درې تیمز دي د تھرو منې پویټ چې لکه مو له مدرس چې دا کنه مو دپاره هر څه کړي دي مو والا ویل بینګ دپاره مو والا هیپینس خوشحالي دپاره هر یو شی هغو کړی او ځان یې پرېښی ده مو دپاره یې هر څه کړي دي نو چې دا یو دې طریقې سره میسیج ورکوي چې لکه هغو والا چې هغو کله بوډاګان شي مور پلار کله بوډاګان شي نو هغو چې ده که نه هغو ته مو والا کیر ضرورت وي نو که مو یو څه طریقې سره هغو ته پی بیک خو نشو کوی مو هغو دپاره هغه څه نشو کوی چې کوم هغو مو دپاره کړي دي خو کم از کم مو هغو والا خیال ساتی شو هغو والا اولډ ایج کې نو دې طریقې سره چې ده که نه مو یو بل دپاره چې لکه یو بل والا ویل بینګ دپاره مو کار کوی شو So that the poem wala the main theme. So I hope you have got the idea about the beauty of this poem and what it says and I have given the explanation of both of the stanzas, and so if you have any question related to this, you can comment down in the section. You can put your question in the comment section, and inshallah I'll give reply. And see you in the exercise video.
फारूक फाउंडेशन ऑनलाइन स्कूल तमाम तलबा और तालिबात के लिए खुशखबरी। जदीद साइंस और टेक्नोलॉजी की मदद से क्लास अव्वल ता दहम ये तालीमी बोर्ड तैयार किया गया है, जिससे आप मैट्रिक तक का इम्तिहान बगैर किसी ट्यूशन पास कर सकते हैं। मजीद KPK का निसाब भी मौजूद है। हमारी तमाम वीडियोस यूट्यूब पर मौजूद हैं। किसी किस्म की कोई फीस नहीं चार्ज की जाती। आप हमारे जूम प्रोग्राम में भी दाखिला ले सकते हैं। फारूक फाउंडेशन ऑनलाइन स्कूल।
इसको इस तरह पढ़ना है कि अभी तक हमने फ्रैक्शन के बारे में पढ़ा था कि 1/2 क्या होता है।
एज फॉलोज, एक जनरल इक्वेशन हमें बताई गई है फोटोसिंथेसिस की, हम लोग उसको देख लेते हैं। यहाँ पे क्या है, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड है हमारे पास
ना इसका, तो फिर ये बन जाता है, ये है सर्कल ही, ठीक है। अगर हम जोड़ देंगे तो ये सर्कल हो जाएगा, लेकिन अभी ये क्या है,
हीट उस हीट पर कम तरीक़ों ट्रांसफ़र की हर तरीके मंगवायो थर्मल
जो ग्लोमेरुलर फिल्ट्रेट है, यहाँ पर मेन काम होता है कि पानी को अब्जॉर्प्शन का, यानी कि उसकी कंजर्वेशन का मेन काम कहाँ पर होता है, ये ग्लोमेरुलर फिल्ट्रेट यानी वुमेन कैप्सूल